Hey, welcome to the Keep It Real AF podcast. I'm Amy, and I started this podcast because I miss my friends. Life in your 50s isn't always easy, and it can feel like you're doing it all on your own, but you're not. We're here to talk about the things that matter and maybe even have a laugh along the way.
My vote, we start with skincare. I cannot wait to tell you guys about this amazing new product line I just found.
Meanwhile, I'm just over here trying to figure out my next career move and how to find a man. Priorities, right?
Yep, this is what we're about, keeping it real. A little friend time makes everything better. So glad you're here. Can't wait to hang out.
Hello, and welcome to Keep It Real AF. If you haven't listened to any of the previous podcasts, please go back. We have lots of tea that we're spilling and great content for women 50 plus. Today we have Billy McCarthy joining us today from the Billy Rock Band. And Billy, if you want to do a quick intro, and then we have tons of questions to ask because it's so exciting to have like a rock star on.
Oh my God, I feel like this is this is a crazy pinch me moment.
Yes.
I have never been able to interview a rock star. We got a rock star on the Keep It Real AF because women in your 50s, we rock it out. We know how to
Yes,
have
we
fun.
do.
So, absolutely.
Well, as you mentioned, my name is Billy McCarthy. I'm a performer and entertainer here in Cincinnati, and I am also 50 plus and feeling pretty good. I can't complain. I've had a good ride so far, but I have a few bags that I pull from. One is being a partner in a production company called Mind Ignition, which does production for special event days at the ballpark for the Reds. We've been with them for about 20 years, and we do all of their larger events like opening day, kids opening day, Reds Fest, and then we do about 20 to 25 inside the ballpark in their fan zone before weekend home games. So that's one bucket. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. We've been very fortunate to work with them for so long and be a part of the Reds community, doing various production for them. As well, I also tour with an artist named Philip Myers, who has quite a reputation and resume. He, at one point, toured with Elton John, Celine Dion. He started as an RCA staff writer in Nashville. So he worked with all the heavy hitters from the 80s, including Garth Brooks and just countless others. So he moved into corporate entertainment, which has given me the luxury to tour the world several times over, playing in parts of the world that I never imagined I would be. So it's been quite a ride. We actually have a trip coming up in Greece in about 2 weeks. So we'll be over there doing a couple of shows and a team building exercise with some of their global suppliers. Then the other bucket I have is a Billy Rock Band, which is based here in Cincinnati, which does about 80 to 100 shows a year. So I've got a lot of plates spinning, and the challenge is to keep them all, in motion.
You do it well.
Well, yeah, thanks again.
Yes.
Yeah. Hey, Billy, before we jump in, I got to ask you, is that a velour couch?
No, but it is. It's just a blanket that's thrown over it, and it is so soft.
I was hoping that it was maybe like a purple velour couch or something. Yeah, so sorry, I was very distracted by the gorgeous gorgeous couch behind you.
I just want to hear Seth say velour one more time.
Yes. Velour.
It's a nightmare to wash, as it turns out. You have to wash it. If I can get domestic just for a minute, these have to be washed by themselves, or it will be on everything you own.
Oh,
but they are super soft.
okay.
It's nice to cuddle up with this watching a movie at night.
So if you're watching, we brought the theme into the picture today, literally. So we're wearing some of our favorite bands and t-shirts. So if you're listening, we'll tell you what we are, but I've got my Bon Jovi. I've got
one of my favorite concerts of all time. And I mean, who doesn't want to rock out to Living on a Prayer? I mean, every word I still know. Dead or Alive. I mean, I could go on and on. So I got my Bon Jovi. What do you got? What are you sporting, Em?
This just says this is my favorite concert tee, so it's not necessarily this anywhere.
Leave it to Emily.
Steph, what do you got?
I have on, so this is Depeche Mode, and our friends that we went to Vegas with invited us last year to go to a Depeche Mode concert, and they played all the old music, and it was awesome. So this was, yeah, and it was a
Nice.
cool show and cool shirt.
I want to remind listeners that one of Emily's I don't even remember what this was, but you
Yes.
were into music, Emily. And I love that passion of yours because you're all about experiences. And I genuinely mean this. Like, I am especially after talking to Billy today, like, I am somebody who finds it hard sometimes to make that happen because, like, life gets in the way. So I'm inspired by you. And I'm going to look to, like, with hints of warm weather. So I'm going to be looking for places outdoors or just places where maybe I can catch some more music live because there is something about live music that it gets in your soul, and it just I don't know, it's cool to experience live music. So I appreciate you rubbing off on me and making it happen with Billy as our guest.
Yes, Experiences 2025, and I love live music. And absolutely one of my favorite bands in Cincinnati is the Billy Rock Band. So it was very appropriate to be able to have you on here, Billy, and talk about you have some new stuff coming out. I listened to it. It's Time to Rock with McCarthy Union.
No, rock.
I know.
I listened to it on the break. Yeah, I was fired up.
Yes. So tell us, like, what's inspired your new music, and tell us a little bit about it.
Sure. So this is the first release of a second album that the first one was called Color of the Diamond Ring, and the name of the band is McCarthy Union. And this is kind of an assembly of one of my members from Billy Rock Band and some other great musicians in town, Scott Hacker, Devin Lay, and Alex and myself, as well as Elton Clifton, who was part of the first album and some of the engineering on this one. And really, I kind of felt like after the past 5 years of madness this country and world has gone through, this was kind of like pulling that decompression valve. And it's really a song of, to be honest, self-empowerment, of finding in yourself the power to stand up and change things, not only with yourself, but around you. So, the message can be personalized by anyone who's listening to it, because it is somewhat ambiguous in its lyrics, but it's all a positive message, meant to kind of light a fire in yourself. And we just released, we had Ken Brew do an exclusive release on 700 a couple of weeks ago, and then I just did an interview with 700 about a week ago.
I think you ought to tell them about the Keep It Real AF
I know,
podcast.
right?
I think you should tell them that they need to bring some realness and the perspective of our women.
100%. Well, now that I'm hip to you guys, that will certainly be on my to-do list. So that's the story behind that
Billy. Oh, sorry.
I was just saying that's basically the gist of that single. So we'll be marketing this to commercially viable markets. It was also kind of written to be anthemic, so that it can be used with sports teams. We'll be appealing to the Bengals, the Reds, FC Cincinnati, as well as the tennis tournament that we have here, all of which we are embedded in. We have, I work for the Reds. Alex works for the tennis tournament, and another friend of ours, Dave Voigt, who is an engineer and has done a lot of work with the Billy Rock Band and other various projects, who works for the Bengals and FC Cincinnati. So the goal with this single is to make it available commercially for those outlets as well as others.
Billy, how did you get into music? I mean, is this just something that you grew up with that, has always been part of your life? Did you always know that you were destined to a career, a life of music?
Yes. Yes, the short answer is yes. I got my first drum set for my 5th birthday. It was a Mickey Mouse drum set with, paper drum heads that I almost immediately destroyed and then upgraded to another drum set. But music was always a part of my family. My grandmother and great aunts were the Burke sisters, which if you can recall the vision of 3 women in evening gowns around a microphone with a big band behind them, that's what they did back in the 30s and 40s. And at that time, they all toured by train. So they were going around the country from Radio City Music Hall to the Orpheum in Memphis, St. Louis, Chicago, and were part of that Rat Pack, essentially. They did a lot of USO stuff. So even as a young child, all of my family gatherings were it was like vaudeville. There was always a show. Someone was dancing or being a comedian or singing. Someone was always on the fireplace, mantle with a singing into it. It was something that was infused at a very early age.
Yeah.
And it never seemed to leave me, good, bad, or indifferent. It was ingrained at an early age. So, I think one of the most important things anyone can discover in life is really finding what their meaning is. We can all do a lot of different things. I was also in the corporate world. We all have multiple talents and pursue various professions in our life, but it's a special thing when you um, feel like you are giving the world what you were meant to do. There's a different motivation behind something like that.
Yeah, so
Awesome.
you grew up with a lot of musical
I
influence,
did.
right? Through your family. It was something that you just grew up with. I'm always curious, like when you think about other bands or musicians that have influenced you or influenced your style, what are they? Who are
Well,
they?
I think a lot of it plays out in the Billy Rock Band. Emily, who has been wonderful to us and so supportive over the years.
Is Emily a groupie?
Yeah,
I know. I was just going to say that. Is
I am
she?
a
She
groupie.
is
Hmm.
She is, well, I would say Emily is a little too highbrow and classy to be categorized as a groupie. I would say
Okay.
she's an enthusiast. But no,
Hmm.
it's
She's a
yes,
Yes,
it's
supporter.
I'm a
always it's
supporter.
always great to look out and see her smiling face out in the crowd. And like I said, she's been incredibly supportive over the years. But the music itself is heavily influenced on all of the feel good songs that I grew up listening to. For me, I can tell you that, again, I'm extremely humbled and grateful and appreciative that I had a wonderful life and a wonderful childhood. Much like others do, I attach points of my life and memories to music. You'll hear, if you come to our
Mhm.
show, so much of our music is set in that 1970 to 1980 decade. You'll hear a lot of Hall and Oates and Steely Dan and a lot of those great
Mm.
songs that we, if you're close to our age, can remember from that decade. So essentially, not that I am restricting any other demographic or age group, but I have a special place in my heart for those people that are around my age that can share in those memories and also kind of go back with me on that journey musically. And we all know, you all were talking about it at the top of the show, um, how music gets in your soul, and I forget sometimes because it is my job, and there are times when I have to remind myself that it's not work. It's a gift, and it's a privilege to be able to perform. But I sometimes forget how impactful music is to people and how much it really does affect.
Oh,
And
yeah.
they people will come up to me uh, between sets of show to share their experience with me and tell me how much that moved them or how much that song takes them back. And I think I can do a little bit better at reminding myself that it really does affect people in positive and emotional ways.
What song do you enjoy playing the most? What do you enjoy? What one song is like your top song to perform?
That is a tough one, only because they're like, this sounds weird, but they're like your children. You don't love one child more than the other. You love them equally for different reasons. But if I'm
Yeah.
feeling frosty and I want to raise the level up in the room, I'll hit you with some Zeppelin or Red Hot Chili Peppers, which is newer, doesn't fit in that demographic, but we do span outside of that decade from time to time.
Mhm.
Um, if I'm in a mood to get bodies moving, I'll hit them with anything from Motown with Al Green, Marvin Gaye to Michael Jackson, Stevie Wonder. Those are all things in our kit that can be pulled out. Often, that is guided by the room, the energy of the room, and I try to I try to be aware, reading the room. If I come into a room and it's early in the evening and people aren't quite there yet, I'll usually ramp them up slowly before we get, to a point where, we're hitting them with dance music or some of that heavier stuff. Other times I come into the room and people are throttled and ready to go. So that's when I'll come out of the gate to get them
Nice.
moving. But it try and answer your earlier question, it's difficult for me to pin down a favorite song because there are moments when any one of them can be my favorite song given the mood of the evening. But
Yeah,
there are a
Hmm.
that
few of
makes
my
sense.
influences that I mentioned there that always hit and always inspire me.
So, two of my favorite
I
songs,
think it's so
Lenny,
interesting.
hmm Lenny Kravitz, "Are You Gonna Go My Way?"
Oh,
Hmm.
rocks it out. And then I always love to hear Greta Van Fleet because
Yeah.
it's a great, and it's a get you going kind of song. But yes, those are two of my favorites that you play.
Yeah, those are both cathartic releases. There's a lot of energy in both of those songs. And while they do break out of that decade that I spend a lot of time in, I don't like to hold myself necessarily to the music from 1970 to 1980. So there's a lot of great music. Greta Van Fleet was kind of like the new inspiration of Zeppelin. They have a
Hmm.
similar sound, but it's very emotional. There's a lot of angst and feeling in what they do. So I've always enjoyed covering Greta Van Fleet as well as Lenny, who is an icon in
Yeah.
rock.
I was just reflecting on what you were saying earlier about kind of reading the room, and Emily and Amy might laugh when I say this, but like I've always said, my dream job and what I should have done, I should have been a professional DJ. Like for me, like being a DJ is like next level. And so whenever we're, out at a club or something, my goal is always like, I want to meet the DJ. I want to like get up there. I want to just,
which she does. She does. Not like we've been
right?
out in this past decade together, but yes, there was a time when I'd be like, oh, I look around like, where's Steph? And I would just look wherever the DJ is, and she's like got an earphone on one ear, like she's involved.
Love it.
So like she's like kind of sneaks away. Yeah,
because
but
because I feel like I'll be like, the DJ's just not hitting it. Like he's not getting like the energy right. I mean, we need to bring, right? Like we need to bring it down or we need to bring it up and so I feel like I've always had a little bit of this to read that room. And so when you said that, I was like, yeah, I feel that. I
I
get
think
that. But
calling.
it makes all the difference, right?
mhm.
If you can't come out hot immediately you have to kind of get people onto the
Right.
floor, get some drinks
Yep.
flowing, get some good vibes going. So, yeah, you have an
So
important job. This is an
you
important
Yeah.
job.
do. You do. And, you know, I am super excited to have you are the first male
Yay.
guest on the Keep It Real AF.
Yes.
So I'm
Yes.
and you're in our genre. So like one, I just can't help notice for our listeners, Billy has great
I
skin.
do?
You got great
Wow.
hair, Billy. We love,
Thank
yes,
you.
you do. Do you have, like, as a man in his 50s, any tips you can share with us? You got some, Emily also mentioned, I think I heard that you were a little bit into health and
Right.
wellness as well.
Absolutely
So
am.
we always love a fresh perspective on this stuff. So fill us
So
in. What do you do?
for me, it is about simplicity. My wife, Ann, has a lab up in our bathroom. And she's like, this is for this, this is for this, this is for this only goes on then. And I can't do that. I'm more,
I
yeah,
like your wife.
she's great, and she knows what she's doing, but it is a regiment that I know that I would not be able to keep. But I will tell you this: exercise and diet drive it. What we see, I believe, on our skin and externally comes from within. Now, there
Mhm.
are exceptions, obviously, to that. You can have outside forces that affect your skin health and other aspects of your health, but I think it's primarily driven by what you consume and exercise. I have a very simple diet. It is one single ingredient. If it has multiple ingredients, I shy away from it. It doesn't mean that I don't um, cheat from time to time, but if your diet is driven primarily by whole foods and simple foods, I think that you'll see your body respond to it. Another thing that I have jumped onto, and I wasn't sure if it was a new scam trend or something that wouldn't produce an effect, but I've been using tallow on my face, and I will tell you this: I
Mm.
have
Yes.
noticed, a difference. It's not dramatic, but it's a gentle softening. My skin is responding to. I've kept with it. So at night before I go to bed, I just put a little bit on my face before I go to bed. Um,
Steph, have you heard of this too? I see you shaking your head too. A friend of mine's
Um,
daughter actually sells it. Have you used it,
yeah.
Steph?
Yeah, I have. I've had a stubborn, just like dry spot on my leg that was just I couldn't get rid of. And so I knew that tallow was a very natural, skin to build your skin barrier and moisturizer. And so honestly, it was one of those within a couple days of putting this tallow on this spot, my skin cleared. So then I started, like you said, Billy, so I started every night now just putting it underneath my eyes. And I'm telling you, it feels
yeah,
Ooh,
different.
Wow.
Yeah. And I just put it's heavy. I mean, it's heavier. It's heavy. So I'd be nervous to put it all over my face, but a I do feel a difference in the tone of
mm.
yeah,
my
I do.
face.
I go
Hmm.
pretty thin with it because it does have, it feels like Vaseline. However, the one key ingredient it does
Yeah.
not have, and you have to, like with any product, it's buyer beware. So you have to inform yourself, make sure you're
Yeah.
getting 100%, and I believe that it's basically just essentially lipids that you're reintroducing to your skin,
Yes,
and
it
Hmm.
is.
and
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it makes a difference. Yeah, like there's grass-fed
yeah,
versions, non-grass-fed versions. So, if you're getting the grass-fed version, some of them have some, essential oils in there. Some of them have olive oil or I've seen some with
yeah.
honey
And
as
just make
well.
sure you
Well,
can
what we should do is, Steph and Billy, just share your what tallow you use, and we'll share that with our
you know,
listeners.
I
Yeah.
Oh, no,
We
you
can
can
share
share
it
it with
will.
later.
to us.
Yeah.
You can share it with us
I
We'll
will.
later.
put a link in.
Yeah, yeah. You don't need to. I would
The
not put
one
that in the
thing that it
spot. Yeah.
does not have,
So yeah.
I was
Go
going
ahead.
to say, the one does not have that you'll find in a lot of products, which obviously in Vaseline is petroleum that you do not want on your skin.
Hmm.
It's a
Yeah.
byproduct. and shouldn't be anywhere near your
Mhm.
skin. Yet we've lived a life of putting Vaseline on our skin. I don't know about the direct health implications of that. I've read enough and seen enough to know that that's an ingredient that you do not want on your skin. Really, when you think about it, it's your
Right.
largest organ, and it is extremely absorbent, and that absorption goes directly into your blood and into your lymph nodes. So yeah, when you take
Mhm.
putting on, even I've talked to my wife this too. She works with a company that distributes cosmetics, and one of their key points is that they're sourced in a way that doesn't cause a lot of damage. But you can get essentially a continuous ingestion of these byproducts from these things that we're putting on our body, whether it's
Mhm.
deodorants, certain soaps, cosmetics, that are all readily absorbed directly into your blood. And
Mm.
I think there'll be more
Right.
information that comes out over the years on what the health impacts are of that. But I just try to keep it
Mhm.
real. I try to keep it simple: diet, exercise, and anything that I put on my skin, I have to be able to know and read the ingredients.
Love it. You're speaking my language, food and mood, nutritionist. So tell us, since food is so important to you, I love how you try to keep it to a single ingredient. I like to share with my clients at least five, three, like fewest ingredients as possible. But what do you start what's your first
Okay.
meal of the day? Like what today, as an
Yeah.
example, what'd you start with?
I will share all that with you. I probably should say I'm not a health expert. I'm just a simple man who bangs on
No,
drugs.
no, no, no.
But
Yeah,
I can tell
yeah.
you that I actually just had my yearly blood work, and everything is optimal for someone of my age. I'm 54, 6 foot, 175 pounds, very little body fat. My energy is good. Um, my mental health is questionable. No, I'm fine. Um, Everything seems to be in balance. But I started my day with 6 eggs, a handful of pistachios, and 2 handfuls of blueberries, and a protein shake. And that's what I
Beautiful.
had.
That's awesome.
Yeah. What'd you put in that protein shake?
Well, it's pre-mixed, so it's just like milk chocolate protein shake. That's just
Mm,
Yeah, it's
sounds
just to
great.
get a little extra protein in my diet. It's hard to, if you realize that you're supposed to. So for me, I should get close to 170 grams of protein a day. And when you actually look at a daily calorie count and protein count, it is difficult to do that every day. And this is
Mhm.
recommended for someone who is training,
Yeah.
which I do 5 days a week. I don't know if that's the same if you're less active, but I'm burning a lot of calories and I'm working out 4, if not 5 days a week. So I need a little bit extra.
And just so you know, Billy, like the rule of thumb is, especially just our age, regardless of if you're working out, like you want to aim to eat your target body weight in grams of protein a
Yeah.
day. So if you want to be 150, 140, that's what you should aim for. And I love that you're not afraid of eggs. Eggs used to have a bad rap, but they're so good for you, yolk and all. So I love that you're going the egg
Eggs
route,
are
even
the
though
perfect,
eggs have had a bad rap. They
no,
don't
eggs
anymore.
are the perfect.
Yeah, the perfect little
Exactly. I
multivitamin.
was just about to say the perfect vitamin. I feel that way about other products. I try to get plenty of vegetables and nuts and fruits in my diet as well. So it's a matter of really just balance. But underpinning all of it is how many ingredients are in it. That's when my skepticism starts to go up.
Right.
If I'm looking at a product that has multiple ingredients, we can even compare the Fruit Loops of the United States to the Fruit Loops of Europe. Ours have
Hmm.
countless ingredients that you wonder why are in there, as opposed to a more organic form of it that's produced in another country. So I just tried to stay away from it, because I've also found the less you predicate your diet on carbohydrates and sugars, the less you begin to crave them. You eat,
Mhm.
you crave
Yeah,
You crave
totally
what you
agree.
eat. So here's a quick little example. I never cared for walnuts. People tried to make me like them. They tried to put them in breads or cookies or whatever. And as a kid, I was like, ugh. It's like putting raisins in cookies for me. I didn't want anything to do with it when I was a kid. So what I started doing as an adult, realizing that the walnut in particular is such a healthy food choice, I just started by eating a small handful every day. And over time, I kid you not, started craving them. And it kind of solidified that theory that you crave what you eat. So if you just can steer your ship back a little bit to the center and get away from some of those foods that aren't really serving your body. And I care more about this now at 54. And this is something, again, I'm not a health
Right.
expert by any stretch. I'm my own test subject, right? So how do I feel every day? Am I foggy? Do I have energy? Do I have aches and pains? Do I have to go to the doctor? Those are questions you can answer for yourself. And if you can check those boxes and say, no, I feel great. No, then chances are your diet and exercise regimen is taking you down the right path.
It is awesome.
Yeah. I try to keep it real simple when I'm working with people. Like I love the ingredients, like minimizing ingredients, but sometimes I'm starting like 3 or 4 clicks up and it's just fundamental. Like let's try to eat at home more than eating out this week. Like just starting there, because right off the bat, you're eating a cleaner diet. And then how do we eat more that's or less that's bagged, boxed, or wrapped? And just like fundamentally, like that sometimes the problems just they solve themselves like they just by making those simple choices. And it's hard for a lot of moms and dads who are running around with kids, but just I love kind of your simple approach with number of ingredients, just minimizing the number. It's
Yeah,
a
and
great
I
idea.
think
But I know we love to keep our podcast to about like
sure,
30-ish, but feel free to share any more ideas or thoughts you have too,
I'll
Billy.
close with this on the food thing. Um, Inflammation and insulin resistance are at the base of almost every disease state. And
Mhm.
when you eat foods that work
Yeah.
against that, you keep your body in a homeostatic state that um, essentially is designed to preserve your life force. So when you start to understand that food is fuel more than an emotional
Hmm.
escape, which it can be for a lot of people, and when you treat your body like a machine in those terms, you start to see food differently.
I agree. So one question I want to do a round robin on favorite concert experience. So Billy, I know you have traveled all over the world and uh, from Santana to Kansas that you have performed with. Like, what is your favorite concert experience? We'll start with you, Billy.
Okay, I would have to say, for me personally, as an audience member, one of my most impactful concerts would probably be Black Crowes. While they may not be legendary to most people, I've always really appreciated his singing style, and getting to see them at their pinnacle was a highlight for me. In terms of performing, probably the most impactful concert was the one that I participated in, where, and this was in Washington, D.C., around, I think it was probably around 2014, where in one show I performed with Fergie Fredrickson, Toto, Bob Ole, the singer, John Cameron, the Beaver Brown Band, Kim Wilson from the Thunderbirds, and Tommy Two Tone, all in one show. We did a tribute to
Wow.
80s music, and we were actually on tour at that time, had been on the road for about 5 weeks. So we had to learn this show in hotel rooms. So it was the most nerve wracking concert I'd ever
Cool.
performed on because of the pressure, but also the most rewarding, being able to play with all the rock heroes that I listened to as a teenager. And, my 15-year-old brain, could I have imagined that 30 years I would be on stage with those artists, and it was
awesome.
definitely a pinch me moment.
That is awesome. Amy, how about you?
So honoring Bon Jovi, I have been to Red Rocks and saw One Republic, which was like another level. But I will never forget the experience seeing Bon Jovi at Soldier Field in Chicago. And it was like the whole entire stadium was filled. We're on the grass, and Kid Rock came out and opened it up. But when some of the Bon Jovi songs came on that were just super popular, like every single person, it's amazing when you hear a stadium filled with tens of thousands of people all singing. Like it was a pretty incredible experience. I'll never forget that.
Awesome. Steph?
Mine was like by far the most fun concert that I've ever been to was Kenny Chesney at Heinz. It's in Pittsburgh, Heinz
Heinz
Field,
Field. It was,
I think.
yeah, it's no
Heinz
longer there.
Field
It's
in
renamed or
Pittsburgh.
something, but yeah.
And we had, if you've ever been to a Kenny Chesney show, he has the sandbar seats, which is kind of literally set up like a beach right next to the stage, and you have your own whatever setup. And that was absolutely incredible. We road tripped there with some friends, and I mean, his shows are next level. It's summer and it's fun and it's beach and it's just it's a blast. So that was the most fun that I've ever had at a show.
That's awesome.
Awesome.
For me,
How about you?
I love festivals because you get to see so many different artists. One of my favorite would be for my 40th birthday, Vegas, MGM, iHeartRadio Music. It was probably 30, 40 different artists and got to see Prince. And it was from
Taylor Swift.
Yeah, Taylor Swift to Prince to Swedish House Mafia,
Mary J.
Linkin
Blige,
Park.
I
Like
think.
it was just the number of artists was absolutely insane. So no matter what kind of music you like, the flavor was there. But I love festivals because you just see so many people. So, all right, Billy, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Billy.
Yes, we really appreciate you and looking forward. We'll put a link to your new music.
Yes, and where we can find you and stuff like that. Where can we find you? Like if people want to learn more about the Billy Rock
you
Band.
could go to billyrockmusic.com or billyrockband.com, and there's a tab for upcoming events, which will have all of our local dates, and we'll be getting pretty busy as soon as I get back from Greece in about 3 weeks. So
Greece.
yeah, we're
Nice.
looking forward to that. But all of those spring and summer festivals that really make going out to see music so much more fun, I think, that getting outside of the walls will be
Yeah.
coming to pass here soon. April will pick up a lot, so you'll start seeing more of the summer concert series that various areas offer, and so we'll be out and about very soon.
Great. Thanks again for being on. It was a great conversation.
Yeah,
So nice to meet
you.
you.
Nice
I
to meet you
appreciate
too.
the invitation. It was great spending time with you all today.
Same here.
Thanks for joining. Share this with your friends. We'll see you next time.